Hello and welcome to another interview with DJ Nocturna. I'm speaking with Shoegaze Dream Pop indie artist and rocker Jess, who's speaking with me all the way from California, right? Bakersfield, California.
Yeah, I'm in
Uh,
Bakersfield currently.
how
Yes.
are, yeah, how are you? Thank you for joining me early in the morning for me, afternoon for you, I think, or no, late
Yeah,
for you.
not even noon yet,
Oh,
but
okay,
almost
great.
there. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, so far the day's been good.
Yeah, I love your little background there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's very
I mean, it's a great studio. I like the color coordination, and I know you're a instrumentalist too. It's amazing. I know you play like ukulele is one of them, right?
I did actually buy a ukulele when I was living in Hawaii and I gave it to my brother as a present, so I haven't really been playing it, but I do I do have like I've played that was actually one of the first instruments that I've ever had. My mom, I remember, gifted me one when I was a child, and that might have been the first instrument that I've actually, although it was like a toy ukulele, but I do remember
Yeah,
her playing music and teaching me to play at that's like one of the earliest childhood memories I have with music.
yeah. Because the ukulele, I know it's Portuguese in origin, but it's Hawaii. It's Hawaii instrument,
Yeah.
and so you have that
Hmm.
root to Hawaii, I guess, because you lived here as
Yeah.
well at one point.
And actually, that's not the only I guess connection, because my grandma from my paternal side um was born in Maui, and
Oh
I
wow,
don't,
see, yeah,
yeah, so
amazing.
there's plenty of connections from
Wow,
in the islands.
that's great.
And I yeah, I just felt like it was, yeah, I was just brought there as a way to find, it was a whole self-discovery experience. But yeah, but my grandma was born in Maui, and
That's
I
great.
don't know when she
I didn't
moved
know
back
that.
to the Philippines, but yeah.
That's great.
And
And then I know a big shout out to Michelle Poplar. I know you know Michelle Poplar
mhm,
Moody. So that's
mhm.
another connection to Hawaii. Now me. So I just
Yes.
I could even feel your energy, your aloha energy, I guess you can say, which is great.
Yeah, I think it was very, very like strong. That's one thing I loved about living in Hawaii, just the culture and the people. Immediately, you could feel that sense of aloha, and I never really experienced anything like that until I moved there. Even
Thank you for saying that. That's really beautiful. Thank you
yeah.
for saying that. I really appreciate that. I really
Mm-hmm.
have a connection to Hawaii, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm always grateful for the culture and everything in here in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so thank you for joining me. Also big shout out to Anna at Magus Wave PR. I guess is that how you pronounce
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Magus Wave, yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's wonderful to talk to you. Um, I was just mentioning you play a lot of instruments. So I know one of them is the ukulele, accordion, right? Keyboard, guitar, and then and of course flute. That's like basically everything.
I mean, those first three instruments was like stuff I was introduced to as a kid. But I'm if I had all the money in the world, I would buy every single instrument
I know,
and
yeah.
learn to play it, because I just always felt like I'm just a big music nerd and I love playing music. So if I have the chance to play it and learn it, I'm gonna do it. But yeah, if you could see the background, I have musical instruments. Drums seem to be the most natural for me as far as like picking it up. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a pro at any, but I love learning to play
Like
any
kind of like
instrument
kind of
I
like
can
a
get my
jack
hand
of all
on.
kind of like a jack of all
Yeah.
trades, yeah. Well,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the drums is, yeah, I didn't mention the drums and it's right there, but the drums is another one. Then and of course the other instrument is your voice because you sing
Mm.
as well. Yeah, so that's great. So tell us about how you began. I know you grew up in a small town, an agricultural town in Central California.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
how did you start out in music?
Well, the earliest memories I've had from exposure to music is through my mom, and my grandma. They both played the piano, and we had a keyboard at home. So that was something I remember, just my mom playing some songs or my grandma, and that was, yeah, those were pretty very core memories. And then also like entertainment wise, movies.
Oh,
All looking back at it now as older, I'm able to realize like my favorite movies as a childhood is because like they had great soundtracks, and that's how I got into pursuing a degree in music, because um
oh,
I like I actually yeah, I pursued a degree for film scoring and composition, and
oh,
I
wow.
think that
I
I
can
think
tell.
that
I can tell.
I think that made me realize like, oh, this is the connection. Like this is music's just been always a part of my life, and I didn't realize it like since I was a little kid. All these little things, so instruments, whatever movies, shows I saw that I was drawn to, it was because the music.
So,
Um,
so prior to getting that degree, you were playing music already, right?
right, yeah.
It's just basically the technical things that you were.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that's important in learning in being an artist to also
The
get that background in that?
Yeah, I feel like it's a half and half the technical, and then also like for me personally, I feel like even if I didn't learn it, it's just already there, and it's not even really my own talent, but it's just
Yeah,
something that is just moving inside me, and I'm feel compelled to express it. And it only, yeah, if you take the time to um nurture it, then you'll just get better at it. When I first started, it was just learning to play the guitar and trying to sing and learn songs and covers, but I've never really thought about making my own music. That came way later in life, but just to be able to connect music for me, like spiritually, it just that it just makes me feel really good.
because I know you also wrote the song that you have your album that you're going to be releasing, your debut album called Siren, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that
Mm-hmm.
song was actually written like some time ago, right? That was the first song
Yeah.
you wrote.
Yeah, that was the very first song that I composed. I didn't even have the lyrics at that time, and I didn't really even know um yeah, words for me is like the last step for any in my creative process. And then at that time I remember it was I was still in Hawaii, you know, I had the first
Oh,
time I've
really?
ever, yeah, it was in Hawaii.
So you actually
Um
wrote this song in Hawaii?
in Hawaii back in 2015.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a
Yeah.
connection. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I feel really honored that I'm doing this interview. Then I'm talking about this song.
Yeah, and I feel like probably it had a lot of influence on the writing and the creation of this song.
Hmm.
And but I always felt like the song meant about following that call and to pursue your passion and dreams. And although I didn't have the words at that time, it took me until 2021, honestly, to actually write down words. But I always had the idea of that's what it meant. But
Oh.
I don't know, had 7 years of writer's block.
How about the title? Wait, when did you come
Um,
up with that one?
I think that was pretty immediate, because like I remember coming up with just like a small part of the chorus that had Siren. So it was, I I feel like it was back in Hawaii. When I had it, I was messing around just trying to come up with lyrics, but you know that's as far as they could get, maybe like just a phrase. And then
Wow.
and I couldn't go past that.
So now you have this album. It's gonna be released on April 21. Is there a specific reason why you picked that date?
April, sorry, say that again.
No, the release date is scheduled to be released April 21.
No, there isn't a specific reason. I think it started from when I released the first single, and I guess just taking a strategic
Oh,
standpoint. But there's no there's no meaning or anything for the release date.
so what is the theme behind Siren? Is there a specific theme?
For me, I feel like it's a lot about acceptance and embracing oneself and searching and learning about yourself. And I feel like for me, the only reason I was able to get to this point, to be able to be comfortable to release this album, is because I've in my own personal life, I felt like I've gone through a journey of like healing and self-searching. And once I've gotten to that point, everything just started pouring out, and like it doesn't feel forced, it's just all natural. And I feel like the whole album is just almost like a journal entry of my experience, spiritually or personally. And so it's a very important album, and very personal. uh so uh but
So
Siren. Mhm,
no, so there's like seven tracks, right?
mhm.
And then the others are not released yet. There's only one. Siren's released, right? It's
Siren's
out now
released.
at,
Mhm.
at the moment. So if you're hearing this interview on the later date, then probably all of them are released. But yeah, wow, that's amazing. So um, I know you also have a degree, not in besides music, right? You also pursued other in the beginning you were,
Mm.
and I know that was would you say that was um I was sort of like a struggle because you had to balance yourself between the your passion for music.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a struggle, and I feel like it was like sort of a deterrent because like I was focused on so much about financial stability and finding a good career and
Yeah.
everything that, society teaches you what it means to be a successful adult. And and I didn't really start pursuing music until 2021 when I graduated from, well, I mean, I was pursuing music when I decided to go to school for it, but as far as actually putting out my own stuff and focusing on creating, it didn't start until 2021. But yeah, I think from 2015 until then, it was just me trying to figure things out.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow, that's great. So what about how about your family? Did they support you?
Well, right now, I feel like s- more so back then. I mean, it's a very kind of typical. My parents are Filipino, so they value just making sure your kids
Yeah,
are gonna be
that's true.
set for the future. So for the most part, that means getting a good career and being able to support yourself and a family if you chose to have a family. But for the longest time, I didn't really even share music with them because I
Mm.
just didn't feel like it that was something that was that mattered to them. But although it was something that is important to me, but um it it's something that like I'm very careful who I share it to.
Yeah, I totally
And
get it.
yeah, but my mom, yeah, she's more supportive now, and and I've expressed like how it is important to me, so I think she understands. But it took a while um for us to get there.
So how would you describe your music, the genre basically, and to someone who's never heard it before?
Um, I mean, I'm very heavy influence in indie and dream pop, and that's kind of actually a hard question for me to answer because I never really know what genre and style I know how to describe myself, because I feel like I just draw from different things and try to
Oh,
yeah, just blend it in. But it's very atmospheric, and I feel like ambient soundscapes, so which I
good.
would
Yeah.
consider more in the dream pop realm, but at the same time, um, not. so much, but it's in there.
So do you have any musical influences?
Yeah, um I mean everything I feel like everything I've listened to. It's hard to pinpoint artists because I could say artists as far as style wise, I would no, that's a question that I don't even really know how to answer.
Like,
It's like it's pretty much everything, and if I were to list everyone, it would be hard because it's not like I follow an artist because I'm a diehard fan. It's usually if I hear a song, I love
yeah.
it, and it inspires me to write something, or it's just like adding it into a
Yeah.
collection of data.
So all of the other tracks, did you so all the other tracks came about more recently, right? In
Hmm.
it was it during the time of when everybody was the pandemic during that period?
Um, no, I think all of I'm trying to think. So it was actually all of the songs that I've had was prior pandemic. Two were in Hawaii, and the rest was while I was going to school, which
Oh,
was like right before the pandemic. So, but there were some songs that I created during because we just had so much time and we are at
oh
home.
yeah.
But for this album, it was just a span from 2015 to 2000 and I have to remember, but it was before, yeah, before COVID.
So I know you play a lot of instruments. Which one do you think is the easiest and which one's the hardest
The easiest I would say
for you?
the
Yeah, for you.
drums, although that's like the least amount of time I spent on it, but it just felt like it's just natural to pick up, be, like as far as kinetically, you just and
Yeah,
also
yeah.
just feeling it. Uh, the hardest, I guess, my voice. I'm
Really?
very self,
Wow.
yeah.
Because I would
I'm
think the
very
voice, I would think the voice is the easiest to do
oh
because it's just a natural thing you're born with.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, I can't say that because I feel like, well, one, I'm very shy, and it took me a long time to even be comfortable to even sing in front of people. But I never really liked the sound of my voice, and I actually prefer to uh, um make music, but not for myself. But I'll do it if the song means like this album means a lot to me, and I feel like no one can sing it but me because that's it belongs to me. But yeah, the voice, I never really thought I had a good voice. It works, but it's not my strongest suit, I would say.
What about the keyboard? The keyboard is
Um Yeah, so I primarily use the keyboard for composing, but and I've learned to read music and play the piano, but I think that would be,
mm-hmm.
you know what? I think that would probably the least actually. And then the voice, because like it's not something I would just go and play leisurely because it I feel like that's probably the piano and keys is the most complicated instrument that
Yeah.
I've played. Yeah. But it's fun once you get the hang of it. It just you got to practice like with anything.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. And you have to just have to have the talent and just the desire and the passion.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, my nephew, he's only 10 or 11 and he's learning to play the drums. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
the coolness for sure. He's got that going
Mm.
and the passion. So, and he's a Scorpio. So hopefully he'll
Mm.
pursue that if he wants that instrument in particular.
Mhm.
So this album it's going to be released on the 21st of April and um is there anything that is very significant about it you want to share? I know it's very dear to your heart and
Yeah.
I know you're making the video.
Uh-huh. I mean, I feel like for those who do end up listening to it, I think the most for me, listening it from the beginning to end as along with the order it is, that's one. I don't know why, but I feel like just the way it flows, it kind of goes into um I wouldn't really say a story, but it just the way it flows, I feel whenever I listen to it, it kind of does 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 something. Yeah, but and other than that, I I don't I don't know. It's a really hard answer to come up with, but it's very personal to me, and I feel like if you're a dreamer, if you're someone who, always valued pursuing your dreams or um always had that pull to listen to what your heart wants, then this is the album for you, because I feel like that's exactly what it feels and means to me. It's
Um,
something that I've been holding on to for years, and it's taken me, was it
oh, that's
2015 and
beautiful. That's a beautiful
2000.
message.
Yeah. So it's like it's no matter how hard I tried, and I can get into like everything I've done, and I've done a lot of things in my life trying to figure out where my place is in life. You can't really escape from it. And I think Siren definitely is that, getting into that, like no matter how hard. And I and you shouldn't, well, I say say you shouldn't, because I got to where I am because I through experience, and like I finally surrendered to it. But yeah, that's, I feel like that's what the overall message is just, listening to what your heart is telling.
So, do you believe in? I know you mentioned surrendering. So when you say
Mhm.
surrendering, I guess it's just letting it go with the flow, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Letting go with the flow, and I feel like that was a big thing for me, because I felt like in the earlier years, even in Hawaii, I tried to force it so much, where it
Mhm.
felt like, I don't know if I just wasn't ready, or it just was like a lot of resistance, or for whatever reason, I just wasn't able to get anything creatively out, and it felt really forced. And at the same time, I was going through a lot of stuff,
Mhm.
and just wasn't at the right place in time. But in comparison to now, I just feel like I'm just living. I feel like I know myself, and I spent a lot of time on working on myself and knowing what I want and who I am, and healing, and exploring spirituality. And I feel like all of that is just
Oh,
the reason why I'm able to just like let things flow as it should. And I'm not even trying. It's just happening.
yeah. No, that's a beautiful message because that's really
Mhm.
what it is. If it's
Mhm.
it's all about timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that you also like covers. Did you do you have stuff that you wrote and you just keep it? I mean, you haven't released it yet. It's kind of like stuff you just did, you know,
Mhm.
because you like. I mean, would you be releasing a cover album in the future? Because
I
I
mean, that's always been an interest of mine. But I haven't really spent a lot of time on that thought. But I always wanted to cover, and I always think of like, okay, what would be a cool thing to cover and maybe potentially perform in a live show if I do ever end up doing that. But that would be
you
that's
will.
something I would be interested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will. I think you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I find the people.
I was just gonna say something and I lost my train of thought. Let me see. Yeah, yeah, I think you will do that if when when you're ready and when everything is
Mm.
going with the flow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now the video, you want to talk about the video really quickly? I know you have a
Yeah, we can.
video of this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
um, um, so I think out of all the songs in this album, that was the only song. Although at first when I made the song, I didn't even know where it was gonna, what direction it was gonna go. I didn't know what it was gonna be about. But after when I reached the end of the process, like that was the only song out of the album that I felt like I have to make a video about it or do something with it. But and at first I feel like I'm very limited as far as like the connections I have in um financial status. Like I can't afford to do anything at this point, but like this is what I want to do. I feel like if I'm gonna spend any effort and energy and money, that's the single that I'm gonna go for, because there's a message to it, and it's the most, I feel like out of all the songs, that's the most it elicits eh, the most emotion out of me, even just listening to it. And I just feel like can't believe, like, where did this even come from? It doesn't belong to me. It's just but it feels like it's yeah, I feel a certain way about Hell is on the Way, Dear. And I feel like a lot of people could relate to it, especially at this moment.
And that's gonna be the very last track. Hell is on the Way, Dear. That's gonna be
Hmm.
the last track, right? And then that song is out already, right?
Not yet. It will
Okay.
be out in March 17th.
Oh, March
So
17. Okay,
yeah.
pretty
So
soon.
that's the single. That's the second single that's to be released, but the last single or last track in the album. Um, yeah.
So I know you have a passion for film and score. Is that something you want to do? Like, I mean, do you have how do you feel about that? I know I mean that's probably a lot of artists would love to have a to do something for film and score.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
actually, I feel like, I like the idea of doing that, and I was actually pursuing it right after I graduated. It's just not the easiest to get into the industry, and I feel like, you just gotta have to have that leg up or some kind of leverage to get in there. And maybe this might be it. I'll just focus on the songs and music, and maybe that'll get some attention. But I've always been since I started going to school for it, it's like uh, it made it inspired this passion for it, and I really do want to get more into film scoring, because I feel like for music, it's not about the words, it's about the music and composition for me that elicits that emotions that you feel when you're listening to it. And I feel like that's exactly what film composers do. There's no words, it's just music, and
Yeah.
it helps with the
Yeah, and
emotion.
you have all these background in music and instruments, and I think it's yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's about timing. Yeah, pretty
Yeah, just
yeah,
waiting, like with everything, just waiting, being patient and letting things flow as it should.
yeah. Well, Siren is the name of the album, and it's going to be released April 21st. I have Jess here I'm speaking with, and congratulations. So if somebody wanted to reach out and listen to your music, what's the best what's the best way to email, or I mean not email but website?
So every social media handle is pretty much just here for music, and that's just like J.E.S.S, my name. And for yeah, just here for music. So website, Instagram, TikTok. But yeah, that's the best way to find me. If you go to Instagram at it, I will have a link up, and that will link up to everything pretty
And that's
much.
J.E.S.
Uh
Is it that way on Instagram?
without the dots, so just J.E.S.S here for the music.
Okay. And this and the website is Jess here for the music.com.
Right.
If anybody
Hmm.
wanna listen and know a little bit more about you as an artist and everything. All
Hmm.
right. Well, congratulations, and I'm looking forward to hearing the other tracks and playing this interview on Modsap Radio. And if you're listening to this or watching this in YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
joining me. Anything else you want to share?
Well, thank you for having me, and hopefully, yeah, hopefully you guys will get to listen to the album when it releases, and yeah, just let me know what you think about it. But yeah, thanks for having me over. It
Yeah,
was good
thank you.
talking to you and
Thank you
sharing.
so much. Okay, let me just turn this off. Let me just turn this off. Thank you.